Well, here we are. We're at the end of the Kumihimo series, and we're going to be making our last design. We're going to be making an 8-strand flat wire bracelet using 2 colors of wire. Don't forget to go watch the other 8 videos for any kind of refreshers. So let's get started.
Get our email newsletter for beading news, sale announcements, new product announcements, and more. Link is in the description below.
This is the same pattern as the 8-strand that I've done in previous videos. And now that you've followed me in this series, I'm sure you're ready to incorporate different materials. Remember, you can go back and visit any of the previous videos for refreshers and tips. Now, let's make something fantastic using wire. So I'm going to show you what materials you're going to need just for this bracelet. So of course, we have our Kumihimo disc, our square disc, jump rings, charms, lobster claws, ribbon ends, and some E6000 with a couple of toothpicks. And of course, our 2 colors of wire. We have silver and then we have a copper. Well, I got my wires here prepped, and what I did is I have 8 strands of each color, and they're 40 inches long. And this gauge is 24 gauge, and it gives it flexibility. But as you can see, I'm trying to keep them all straight. So being that this is our last video, I'm going to be using a more advanced technique. So just be patient with the wires. It can be a little frustrating, but you can do it. So I found my center, and I'm going to just bend it a little bit because I want to fold these in half, but I don't want to bend it completely all the way because I'm going to use a pen to make a perfect circle. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of slightly bend it and kind of pull these wires as I'm doing that. Okay, I'm going to take my pen, I'm going to put it through, and I'm just going to give a twist, and I just want to make sure all those wires are nice and snug together. And that should be good for a knot. I did it a couple of times and then we just pull it out, and there, that makes a loop. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it through the center, and then I have it here, and I'm going to attach my Kumihimo weight to this, and that gives us a nice tight loop, and you're going to make sure all the wires are in there. So there you can see I got my Kumihimo weight securely around the loop. So now we're going to take this, and then I'm going to start by arranging the wires. Okay, I have my disc. I'm getting set up here, and as you can see, I have it in a certain pattern, and I'm going to show you the reason why. But at first I'm going to show you how many wires I have in each slot. So we started out with 16, and we folded it in half, and that made it 8 on each side. So there's going to be 4 strands of wire in each of these little things. And you just wanted to beef it up a little bit because, as you can see, the wire is very thin. We want it to be a little bit thicker. So in each slot, there are 4 wires of that color, okay? And to get that pattern, I'm going to show you. I have the silver on the outside and the copper on the inside, okay? So to get that, we're going to have the silver on the top and on the bottom in the C slots, okay? And then the copper being on the inside is going to go on the bottom and on the top slots. So you can customize it any way you want, but I'm just showing you that this pattern gets you to this pattern. Okay. All right. So again, this is my same 8 braid that we've showed you before. So we're going to take the top 7. And then with these, you're going to want to kind of use your finger and thumb and always just kind of straighten it out first, because you don't want any kind of kinks. And this is where I'm talking about be patient, okay? And then we're just going to go over to D slot, okay? Same thing, same. We're going to do the top 6, straighten it out, and then go over to the right D slot. Okay? Bottom 7. String it along your fingers, just straighten out those wires, and then go over to A on the left. Bottom 6, straighten out those wires, and go over to A on the right. Okay, so now we have this kind of pattern. Now we got to start and move these wires back down to the bottom. Now, again, on this one, you'll notice again, I'm using the square disc and the flat braid, so we're not going to need to rotate, okay? The disc is always going to stay the way it is. So now we're going to move B back down to 7. Okay. And then left B. And grab those and straighten it out a little bit. See, there's that little kink. You want to just make sure you straighten that out and go to 6. Okay. And always just try to give your wires a nice tug and nice smoothing before they lay in. Okay. Now we're going to go right C. And see, there's a little bit. You need to work the wires. And then pull, straighten them out a little bit. And go up to 7. And then the C, straighten them out. So as you can see, it just takes a little time because you are working with wire, right? So now what you can see, I'm making a pattern and I want to just keep everything nice and snug, right? And then now I got to bring these back to the center so we can start our cycle again, okay? And at this point, also, you want to make sure everything's nice and tight and smooth. So we're back where we started, back to the same spot, right? And just make sure all the wires are nice and smooth. So we're going to do that again. I'll do another cycle. So top 7. We're going to go to left D. Make sure that's in there nice and snug. Top 6. Oops. Over to right D. Bottom 7. Over to left A, and then bottom 6, over to right A. So you can see it's a very simple 8 braid that we have done before, like I said, but we're just using different material. And it's the material that's changed that makes the whole difference in what the braid looks like, okay? I'm just kind of smoothing these out because I don't want them to get tangled on my ends either, okay? And I'm also, as a tip, just kind of just looking at the center of my braid and kind of just keeping it all nice and tight. And as you braid more, you'll see that you want to keep those in line. Okay. So again, now I'm taking them B down to bottom, B also down to the bottom 6, keeping them nice and tight. Let's C up to the top, left C up to the top, and then bring these back to the center. So we are back to where we started again. And it's as simple as that. That's the simple braid. And we're going to just keep doing that until we get a pattern. And I'm going to just do a couple more rounds and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Let me move this back. All right, so let me show you what I have so far. I've been working, maybe half an hour just to get it all nice and tight. But as you can see, it's making a beautiful little braid. And I'm just going to keep continuing that until I just get to the desired length I want. And I'm going to measure as I go. All right, I'm going to move this last over and I'm going to take a peek. That looks about perfect for me. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap it around my wrist to make sure that it's long enough for the size that I want. And that looks about right for me. And now I'm just going to go ahead and then take it off the disc. All right, so I've already added a ribbon end to this with my E6000 glue, and I have a little jump ring here. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I finish that. So I have it still in a twist here so it doesn't go anywhere, okay? And then I'm going to snip with our wire cutters really close to that. And it takes a while because you're going through all of those, right? Okay. I'm going to put that aside. And now I have my E6000 glue, and I got some in here. I'm just going to take it and we're going to put it all over the end of these wires. Okay. And then I have my end clip here. So I'm going to grab my pliers and then I'm going to position on it, and I'm going to use my other pliers so I don't lose any of the design. I have a dipped pliers here. I am going to, whoops, the jump ring fell off, but I can go ahead and put that on there after, so that's no worries. Okay. And again, I'm using the dip pliers to close it because that way it doesn't mar the design on my ribbon end here. So you just want to give it a really nice tug and secure. And I'm going to let that dry. That will dry completely. But in the meantime, we could put the jump ring on. Okay. And then I have my lobster claw. And just put that through there. And we're going to close that up. There we go. And then I have one last little charm that I'm going to put on this end of the jump ring. And we're going to close that up. And look at that. And then we're just going to go ahead and take the lobster claw and open it. Grab it to that ring. And there you have it. Our 8-strand wire bracelet made with 2 colors of wire. I hope you've enjoyed exploring the world of Kumihimo with me. Hashtag us if you created anything during the Kumihimo series, or if you've created something using the Kumihimo techniques, we'd love to see it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and sign up for our email newsletter. Thank you for creating with me. Until next time, we'll see you soon.